Good morning, it's Dave here and I'm with my wife Cathy.
Hello, good morning.
It's 6:20 a.m. And it's Monday morning again, which means it's Game of Thrones time.
And we said last time that we were up early to watch it because we had something on that night. That has happened again. So
Yes.
Next week I look forward to watching it after work.
At a normal time.
Yes.
This right now it just feels like a chore.
No, it doesn't.
And it's really cold out here.
Yeah, well, we're in our garden because we're trying to wake ourselves up a bit. And thank you everyone. We got a lot of emails and Twitters and Facebooks about people saying that they liked us doing this, so that we should do it again.
Yes, thanks to everyone who wrote in.
It suits us perfectly because it means we don't have to walk to the cinema at 6 a.m.
We just have to set our alarm and stand in our garden.
Yes. And we got one email in particular that we really liked, so we wanted to mention it because it was really funny. And it was from Alison. And she emailed us to say that she was really pleased we did this recap because she can't be bothered watching Game of Thrones, but it gives her something to talk about with her daughter.
Yes.
Who's in uni.
So Alison, we're very glad we could help you out, and we hope you're listening today.
Yes.
We will do our best, Alison, to explain what's happened in the episode, conscious of the fact that you haven't seen it.
Yes.
And are very willing to have it spoiled. I think it's a very interesting scenario you have.
Yeah, and she said, I enjoyed Cathy's confusion as a reminder of my own. So that was fun.
Often confused as well.
Yes.
I don't have much to say before we watch this.
No.
I don't.
Haven't watched the trailer.
Just don't know anything about
so let's
it.
go.
It's called Stormborn.
Ooh.
Which...
Exciting.
Don't know what that means.
No.
Just sounds very fantasy novel, doesn't it?
Okay, we better go.
That sounds familiar. That's from something in Game of Thrones. I can't keep all this stuff in my head.
Maybe you should have Googled it before we started recording.
It's too tired. All right.
Okay.
We're going to go watch this now. We'll talk to you
After.
The way to the train.
Oh, and one more thing. Coming up at the end of this episode, stay tuned after we finish the review, because I'm going to speak to the channel editor of Sky Atlantic, who show Game of Thrones here in the UK and in Ireland also. So that should be fun.
That should be interesting.
Yes.
All right.
Okay,
See you
bye.
soon. So we've woken up a little bit. We are.
I was already awake.
Well, I've woken up completely because I think I was like a zombie in that last one, like a White Walker, so to speak.
Ooh.
See what I did there?
Yes.
So we're on the train now.
Yes, exciting.
Because it was kind of raining and gross, so we didn't really want to walk around.
Yeah. No.
And we're both getting the train to work today, so here we are. So what do you think of that
don't
episode?
Spoil it for anyone on the train.
Yes,
it's
there
be
are
quiet.
a few people around. So.
But
there's also going to be loud announcements.
yes,
so
the people around us seem to have headphones in, so we won't spoil it for them.
Nobody looks like a Game of Thrones fan either.
Well,
I don't know
what that means because millions of people watch this show.
Nobody is dressed in winter garb.
Yeah.
And,
oh wow.
Oh, dude. All right, let's carry on.
Yeah.
It does feel like winter today, doesn't it?
It's really cold.
Very
Winter has come.
Yeah.
So we will open. We're going to go through kind of plot by plot again versus scene by scene because it's too convoluted. So it opens on Dragonstone with Daenerys, Tyrion, Varys, and subsequent
Melisandre
people.
shows up.
Yeah.
But firstly, we've got this sort of confrontation between Daenerys and Varys, which I think is good that they kind of addressed, like, why would she trust him? And she kind of lists out every person he's served since her father, the Mad King.
And who he's betrayed.
Yes, he's just pretty much just sort of chosen whatever ship he wants. And she has a proper go at him. Tyrion tries to defend him, but doesn't really get a chance. She just keeps going, keeps attacking him. But then Varys kind of comes back with...
Well, he says, my loyalties lie with the people. I don't have blind allegiances, but I do choose you.
Yeah. He's like Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah, he is.
He's like a
and
bold,
then she's
unique
like,
Jeremy
okay,
Corbyn.
if you ever think I'm failing the people, look me in the eye and tell me. Don't just betray me, because if you betray me, I'll burn you alive. And he's like, fair deal.
Don't betray me, okay?
Yeah. And then also... Tyrion continues with his sage advice, telling her, this is not a slaughterhouse, we want alliances, we don't want to conquer, and that's kind of his pitch, really.
Did it bother you?
He wants to win hearts and minds.
Hearts and minds.
Yeah.
Did it bother you that there were no windows?
No, I didn't notice that.
I was cold just looking at them.
I was surprised.
There's a giant storm raging outside, and they're in a room with just like specifically just a cave.
I didn't mind that. I was surprised that she was like, I hate this place, I want to get out of here. I was like, oh, I thought this was where she was going to be.
Probably because there's no windows.
I thought that was
She's
her
like,
birthright.
I hate this place. I want to get back to somewhere with double glazing.
And then the next scene we see with them is the Red Witch arrives. Melisandre, is that her name?
Melisandre, and she
said,
gives
the princess will bring the dawn.
Well, no, it's a prince. So this is a famous prophecy that all the book readers are obsessed with. That has been mentioned, I think, by Melisandre in the show, which is. I thought I wrote it down. I didn't. It's something like a prince.
I
the
wrote
prince
it down.
was promised.
Yes.
Will some
bring the dawn.
Is that it? Bring the dawn.
End winter.
Okay, but then what's her name? The translator.
She said it's actually
Points
prince
out.
or princess because it's genderless.
Yeah, she gives it.
It's gender
There's a
fluid.
lesson in sort of pronouns, foreign pronouns in here.
And then the most awesome thing happens, and I got. This never really happened to me with Game of Thrones, very rarely, but I got actual shivers because she says you need to summon Jon Snow, and Daenerys is like, "Who's Jon Snow?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh my god, she didn't even know who he was." And then Tyrion's like, "I like
which
Jon
we discussed
Snow."
last week.
Yeah, it's just so cool.
Tyrion's like, I like that guy.
I like Jon Snow, and they kind of explained to her, he's great, he's a good person, whatever. And she's like, "Okay, tell him to come. He can kneel to me."
No, this is what she said, because I wrote it down, which I thought was a bit ridiculous. She said, "He sounds like quite a man."
Did she say that?
She
But
said
to be
that.
fair, when they listed off all his achievements, he did
does sound
quite a
like
man.
he's quite
Wait
the
till
man.
she sees him as well and sees how hot he is.
Yeah, it's her nephew.
Yeah, but I don't think that matters in Game of Thrones. I really don't.
It does, because
But she doesn't know it's her nephew.
Yeah, but the whole incest plot between the Lannisters was taboo. Don't forget.
Yeah, but it's only taboo because they were supposed pretending to be Robert's kids. So if they found out they were Jaime's kids, then they
No,
wouldn't
it
be
was
heir
also
to the throne.
taboo because.
Because they're twins who've had sex.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I don't think aunts. But anyway, she won't know he's his aunt, so I reckon they're going to hook up because they won't know they're related.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But fine.
Anyway, that's what I want to happen. And then the next scene with them is they're in like this amazing room full of people. So all the people we just listed
It's
plus
the same room with no windows.
plus the Queen of Dorne, plus the Queen of the Iron Islands, plus Elena, plus Theon. So it's a pretty
Theon
interesting
and his
room of
sister.
people together. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Daenerys directly quotes Tyrion from their previous scene saying, "I'm not the Queen of Ashes." And Tyrion looks a bit miffed, like she's taking his line. It's like, well, that's what happens when you're handed the queen. She'll take your lines.
It's like I said that. Yeah, she should have attributed the quote to him.
Yes, that's
Right.
a quote from my hand of the queen.
It's plagiarism.
Tyrion. And then I really like this dynamic because Elena's saying, well, they won't obey you unless they fear you. And she's saying, no, I want to win their hearts and minds.
Well, Lena's gives her some good advice.
She
here,
does,
I
but
think.
they
And then,
rally.
sorry, go on.
So basically they come up with a plan of attack, which is that they're going to use the Westerosi army, not foreigners, to take King's Landing because they said they won't
They don't want
trust
to be
us
seen
if we're
as foreign
foreigners in.
invaders. Which made
So
sense.
the Dornish and Tyrell will lay siege to the city, but then the Unsullied will go to Casterly Rock.
Casterly Rock.
This
yeah,
is the bit I didn't understand what that was.
That's the home of the Lannisters.
But they live in Queen's Landing now, don't they?
Yeah, but
King's Landing.
King's Landing is sort of the seat of government, if you think of it that way.
Ah, okay.
So they live there only because
But who lives in
they're
Casterly Rock?
the
Nobody.
ruling power. That's where the Lannister dad would have resided before he became the Hand of the
Okay,
King.
so it's not that interesting
It's
if
the
they take
Lannister
it.
family home.
Okay.
No, it is, because that's a symbol. That's
I guess
their
it's like
family
taking
home.
Winterfell from the start.
Where their army would be. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then this awesome scene with Elena and Daenerys, and she says, I know lots of smart men, and I ignore them.
Yeah, and
She
I've
said-
outlived them all.
Be a dragon, you're a dragon. As in,
That was
fuck
cool.
all his advice.
They're all sheep.
yeah,
Be a dragon.
that was really cool.
She's still the best character in the show.
and
Elena
and
Tyrell.
even Daenerys says, like, I know you're only serving me because you hate Cersei, not because you like me. And Elena's like, yeah.
She's like, yeah, what's it do,
And
yeah?
she just continues to talk about how beautiful and amazing Marjorie was.
She's like, could you turn the heating on in here? Because
It's
there's a storm
freezing.
outside and you don't have any windows.
Just because you're Stormborn. I assume that's what the
Oh,
name
yes. So we did reference that before the episode. I remembered then that's part of her. That's one of her long list of names. You know,
Okay.
Daenerys has like freer of slaves, queen of dragons, born of the storm,
Yeah.
protector of the seven realms, and
Mhm.
demon in the sack.
And then the next scene with these characters is a romantic scene between Grey Worm and Missandre.
Yeah, what's her name? Missandre, yeah.
And
he says, "You are my weakness."
But at first it's awkward. He's like, "I wish you good fortune," and she's like, "Wait, you're about to leave and go off and like, storm this place, and you're not even going to say goodbye to me."
Sort of a rom-com kind of scene. This is when he admits his true feelings for her.
I thought it was really bad at the start of the scene and really awkward, and then I thought actually the scene got really interesting.
But he is awkward if you think about it.
See, I don't really know those. I think I might have missed the season where those characters are introduced. To me, they're just like lackeys that just always hang around in the background of the scene. I don't see them as characters.
But he spent his life, he's never known love or tenderness. They're taken as children, they're castrated, and then as they're tortured.
Well, this is what we want to get to, because when she takes off her dress, we're both like, wait, to see if a penis. And I was like, wait, I was waiting to see the
the answer is no, and I told you that.
Yeah, but I was waiting to see the
goods. Be a surprise?
Well, they always show us. They show us a lot of nudity, so I was like, thought they were going to show us what was down there.
Yeah, I thought they were going to give us a bit of a sort of Ken doll action.
So I don't quite know what was going on, but they had a very steamy scene anyway.
Well, what do you mean? What was going on was exactly what you'd expect would go on.
I know, but
if you weren't able to do it.
I wanted to see. I wanted them to show us it.
We're talking around this because we're on the train.
Yeah. Anyway, I really enjoyed that scene and thought it was really tender and nice, and I was glad to see those characters speaking, because I don't think I've ever seen them speak before. Or I don't remember if I have.
Yeah, they've been having a little love plot for the last few seasons.
Alright, so even when they kissed, I was like, whatever, get on with it. And Dave's like, well, they've never kissed before. I was like, oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that.
Your cold heart was melting.
Okay, so now the next plot we're going to... Now there's one
That's
plot
kind of
left.
it for the Danny plot.
We'll there's talk one big scene left.
We'll talk about
the Danny
final
plot,
scene.
which we'll talk about at the end.
At the end.
Which was awesome. So the next plot is Jon, Sansa and Davos in... Winterfell.
So they've just gotten the Raven, so obviously Daenerys said, "Oh, this Jon Snow guy sounds like a really swell character. Let's send him a little message telling him that I'd love to meet him.
He can bend to my knee,
so that he can bow to my will."
Yeah.
But
she does invite him though,
and she passive-aggressive message.
But to be fair, Tyrion writes it and he gives context. He's like, FYI, she's got 3 dragons. She's got the Dorne.
Yeah,
she's got these
just
people.
saying. By the way, very powerful army.
No, but it's not just to summon the way Cersei's had been. There's more context in it.
But I thought it was interesting. It's using the same terminology that Cersei had sent him.
Yeah, but with more respect.
Yes, but it's also the message is about who it's coming from. It was coming from Cersei, and this was coming from Tyrion, and from he doesn't know Daenerys, but
Sansa's like, "Oh, my husband.
Tyrion.
Did they ever get a divorce?"
Yeah, Sansa and Tyrion. No,
I reckon
still
she's not
married.
I think he's her husband.
Well, yeah, actually, she's a serial bigamist.
Yeah,
if you think about it. She's been married to Joffrey. Oh no, she never
didn't marry
quite got
she
there.
Married Tyrion instead.
Married Tyrion.
But anyway,
Ramsay.
when this letter comes, it's really good because they say about the dragons, obviously, as like the first thing you would say about yourself if you had pet dragons, and they say, "Oh, fire kills White Walkers," so they do plant that seed.
Yeah.
But then Sansa's like, "Don't do it. Don't trust them."
Yeah, they're kind of a bit cold on this offer, aren't they?
They're a bit like, nah.
Yeah,
but then,
for
next scene, Jon receives a letter from Sam telling him, you need dragon glass to kill the White Walkers.
And then he's like, hang on, dragon glass, dragon stone,
White Walkers,
fire.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of pieces that come together. And then we have yet another scene.
This was Jon's fault, though, because Jon got up in front of everyone and said, I'm accepting the invite. And Sansa's like, hello, could we not have discussed this first?
Why don't they talk about stuff before they go into the meetings?
I don't know.
They need to have they need to set a calendar appointment for a pre-meeting catch-up.
Because I think
just
Sansa's
to set
got
the
a point,
agenda.
and I think it's well worth teasing it out.
Yeah.
Though, to be fair, Jon's so democratic that he wouldn't even want to give Sansa a heads up. He wants everyone to disagree with him at the same time.
Yeah, but maybe he should have asked her, hey, I'm going to do this thing in front of everyone because I know that you have disagreed with everything I've said before. So just so you know, I'm going to go to Daenerys. They're not going to like it. Maybe do you want to back me up?
Yeah.
Oh, because, I'm going to make you
Queen of the North
in charge.
and
which he also doesn't tell her.
Littlefinger looks really sneaky in the scene. He's just looking with delight from the corner.
No, I feel like he's been standing in that room for the last 6 episodes, it feels like, in that exact spot, looking sneaky. So I feel like they shot all the stuff with Aidan Gillen in one go of him standing against that wall.
I mean, it would fit
sneaky.
in any season or
it's
any
like,
scene.
okay, look, slightly less sneaky. Okay, a little more sneaky now, Aidan.
They just look really evil. It's funny because we just watched last week, because we never seen it. We watched the first ever episode of Queer as Folk, and he's the same in that he has neither aged nor changed character nor anything. He's just the same. It's quite
his
astounding.
terrible Irish accent was bothering me again in this episode. So he does have a quick, while we're talking about him, he has a quick confrontation with John down in the crypt.
Well, that's the next scene. We haven't finished the other scene. Dave, I've got very particular notes here.
Okay, go on.
The end of the scene, John says the north is yours, and Sansa's like, ooh, and suddenly she stops. She suddenly
yeah, she's like,
doesn't mind.
Maybe it's not so bad after
yeah,
all.
she's like, all right, okay, that's fine. So next scene is crypt with John and Littlefinger, and John blatantly says, you don't belong down here, touch my sister and I'll kill you.
Yeah,
myself.
He makes his intentions pretty clear.
I was confused though. Why does he hate? I mean, I know everyone hates Littlefinger, but why is he so rude to him?
Well, I think Littlefinger was the one who betrayed Ned Stark.
Okay, didn't know that.
With the Lannisters.
So why is he allowed there at all then?
Because
he says, you owe me, I saved you about
he saved them, don't forget that. And
okay.
This episode as well, it wasn't in this moment, but it's later, we hear the phrase Battle of the Bastards in the show.
Yeah, I thought that. I didn't realise it had been called that.
Which was quite interesting.
So Littlefinger and John having none of each other. And then Cersei and Jaime.
Oh, Cersei and Jaime. So,
so she's like on the throne just scaring everyone about Daenerys.
Yes, and specifically Randall Tarley, who is Sam's dad.
Okay,
we saw in a previous episode when Sam went
he's
home.
Really horrible to Sam, wasn't he?
Horrible, yeah.
But he seemed very honourable in this episode.
Well, he did. Well, he was just the strong, silent type, really.
Okay,
but he is very by the book and sort of. He's a warrior.
And he said, we don't cut throats at weddings, which I really enjoyed as a line.
Yeah, that was a nice line.
That was really good.
Yes.
And someone says, wait, if this lady's got 3 dragons... Oh, because Cersei's all like, ooh, her men will rape your women and her dragons will, destroy your villages. And they're saying, well, if she's got dragons, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And
which
then
we
the mad
find
scientist...
Shortly. And the mad scientist is like, I got something in my sleeve.
He said, I've got some solutions. And then Jaime promises...
Sorry, can we just talk about very quickly? I thought it was interesting how Cersei was describing... Pretty much everything she said to them had happened and was true, but it was lacking context.
But when you hear it laid out, it sounds terrible. All the stuff Daenerys is
yes, she burned alive a load of noblemen, but also it was because they were really horrible pieces of shit who were trying to manipulate her, and they were slave.
But think of the room Cersei's addressing. She's addressing those probably exactly.
Yeah, no, but that's what's interesting. She's using facts. She's like just a classic politician. Yeah, she's good.
And Jaime promises Sam's dad that he can be warden of the South if he swears allegiance to Cersei.
Yeah.
And he's like, but Elena's my old friend. I'm loyal to her. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and funny to see how that one's going to go, because I feel like he won't really sway. But
I mean,
why
Jaime
have
even
this
says, I
scene
know
if he's
you
not going to?
He says, I know you don't like my sister. Like no one likes her. And then the next scene with those. So we only 2 scenes with Cersei.
Nobody likes my sister, but help a brother out.
Like, basically, they go down to the dungeon and there's dragon skulls. And she talks about Robert again. I'm like, get over Robert. He died like 6 seasons ago.
Wait, she never talks about Robert.
She said he used to bring his whores down here and he kept these as trophies.
Yeah.
And I was like, whatever.
Okay.
I just thought that was really boring. And then
we see what the mad scientist, what's his name?
Of course, anyone can shoot an arrow at a stationary object. Like, I didn't find that impressive. I thought he was going to bring like zombie dragons back.
Yeah, I thought I was the same. I thought
it was really dull.
Because he previously he has brought the mountain back from the dead, that zombie mountain.
Yeah, I was like full on zombie dragon.
He's created the green. He's found all that dragon fire or whatever it's called. I forget what it's called. The green fire stuff that they've used.
Yeah, and this was just like, it's a bow and arrow, but kind of bigger.
Yes, exactly.
It can pierce
boring.
A stationary skull.
It was such an anticlimax.
That was really dull. And I was like, that's it.
This will defeat the dragons as long as they stay exactly in this spot.
So anyway, that was the end of their plot, particularly dull. And then, this was good. So
it was very cool seeing the dragon skulls though. I thought that was really impressive.
I just thought it was boring.
Oh, it was cool.
No. And then the next one is Sam, Jorah, and the Archmaester in the library place that we don't know the name of.
As Jim Broadbent.
Jim Broadbent. So we see Jorah's advanced and beyond our skills greyscale. And I think they've left him a sword to kill himself in the room.
It's sort of implied, yeah. So he's given 1 extra day to hang around
because he's a knight
instead of being shipped out, which is wow, what an offer.
What an offer! Yeah, we'll let you kill yourself.
It's like if you're at a hotel and they just give you a free night.
Or they give you late checkout.
Late checkout, yeah.
Which we always ask for, by the way, and basically never get.
It's like if the receptionist gave you a late checkout and then sort of eyed up this sword next to the desk.
Or she's
I suggest you take that.
And then Jorah says that his name is Mormont, and then Sam's like, Mormont? And then David explained to me what that meant.
I know that name.
So explain to the listeners who may not know.
Well, so if anyone doesn't remember, well, he kind of explained it later, didn't he? Lord Mormont was the head of the Night's Watch or something, so he was good to Sam and Jon years ago, before he died.
Okay. And then the next scene is, I mean, the greyscale is pretty gross. And then the next scene is the library, and Sam's not happy because he's like, oh, I've got all these cures for Jorah, and the Archmaester, aka Jim Broadbent's like, fuck off. I've read all those already.
He had a pretty good, he had a pretty good comeback though.
Yeah.
He was like, do you know, he said, so Sam says that there has been a couple of successful cures of grayscale, and he mentions one guy in particular, and Broadbent's like, yeah, do you know what he died of? Grayscale. Checkmate. But sorry, can we talk about the book?
Yeah, that was really, I didn't even get this, Dave Potter.
Very funny.
That was funny.
So we find out that Jim Broadbent is basically writing a history book of everything that's happened in Game of Thrones since Robert Baratheon died, which he's called A Chronicle of the Wars Following the Death of King Robert I, which Sam kind of makes a face
and they make a joke and say that's not a very good title.
Yeah, it just should be something more poetic. But I liked this. It was a little
and so really the
wink.
title should be Game of Thrones, right? Because it's what they're talking about.
But if this had been, if this show had been in weaker hands, they would have just said those words out loud.
Well, it's in such good hands that it was too subtle for me and I missed the entire scene.
Fair enough.
And then also he mentions, that procedure is forbidden, don't even think about it. And Sam's like, of course, I never do anything that's forbidden.
Cut to Jorah's room, and of course he's writing a love note to
he's such
Khaleesi.
a creep. I mean, at this point he just needs to get over it. Like, she does not fancy you, you're really old, you've got grayscale.
She's just not that into you.
She only marries for alliances.
She hasn't even mentioned you in ages.
As far as she knows,
doesn't think about you. She's got other things on her mind.
Yeah, and then Sam jumps in. I knew your father, and you are not dying today, Sir Jorah.
And I've got a load of horrible things I'm going to do to you.
And then it's so funny because Dave's really squeamish, and I thought you were going to faint during the scene.
That was horrific.
It was disgusting.
It was absolutely disgusting.
So there's basically obviously no anaesthetic, and he says, oh, don't scream or we'll get in trouble, and just put something between his mouth to bite on.
It's one of the most gruesome things in Game of Thrones I've
ever seen. It was really gross. I thought Jorah was a really good actor in this scene, and acting the pain. I was like really impressed by that.
Oh, he sold it so well. But
I mean, they said we have to strip. So they only showed us. He said, so I have to strip all the top layer of grayscale off you, and then I'm going to put this like disgusting potion on you. And we only witnessed him picking off 1 inch of it,
I know.
And that was that horrific with pus coming out of it. Like, it was absolutely disgusting.
I thought he was particularly good, Ian Glenn, the actor who plays him, when he got the first layer off, and then Ian Glenn just kind of gives him this sort of like nod, like he gives him the consent to continue, and it was just like that.
It was disgusting.
Hard.
And then I thought Sam was like full on like dipping into it, and then we realised it was a pie, so I did enjoy that.
Your expression was brilliant. I mean, I had realised that there had been a sort of a transition cut here, but you hadn't.
Not realise.
You were just like, I was the noise you made.
It was really good. And turned out it was Arya with her disgusting, terrible, beast-like table manners.
But I wrote down, I thought this was interesting, because she eats and drinks like the Hound now.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Because I was watching, they really lingered on her eating, and I was like, this is disgusting. I know she's grown up a bit wild, but like, this is feral.
I feel like that's a very deliberate move on their behalf, because she spent a lot of time with the Hound.
I guess I can't remember what he ate.
In that inn, probably. And that's exactly how he ate. Just
it was disgusting.
Got it down. There was that famous chicken scene from a few years ago. I don't know, did you see that one?
No. And yeah, so that was really interesting. And she has a friend, which just seemed to me a bit of a coincidence. And then
hot pie.
And then he mentioned.
Well, it's not a coincidence, because this is the inn she left him in several seasons ago. You weren't watching.
Okay.
So when she was on the run after Ned Stark dies, she's pretending to be a boy, and she's hanging out with this guy and the bastard son of Robert Baratheon, who disappeared ages ago on a boat. Nobody can remember.
I'm sure he'll come back.
But yeah, this is kind of a nice incidental character.
She's got 2 nice scenes now, and then he says, oh, are you heading to Winterfell? And she's like, why would I go there? The Boltons have that. And he's like, no, your brother Jon Snow has it. He won Battle of the Bastards. And I got shivers again. So this is twice now in this episode that 2 people are finding out about Jon Snow that didn't know about him.
Home.
Yeah, that was really good.
I can't wait.
I was amazing and thought she acted that really well. And then he says, I can't believe I ever thought you were a boy, you're pretty. And I thought, oh my god, that's probably the first time since season 1, when she was taken from her parents, that anyone has said anything nice to her like that. I mean, I know I haven't watched all the episodes, but it just felt like, to a young girl, like a teenage girl, that's a really important thing if someone compliments you like that, because she's just treated like a boy and she's eating like a beast, and like that was a really nice scene.
And there was a really funny little gag here.
What was the gag?
He gave her a little pie advice, about you gotta leave the butter cook a little longer or something, and she says, yeah, I know. And he goes, you've been making pies? She said, 1 or 2.
Just finger pies.
Nice little
of dead evil
she had
people.
Her fingers in a few pies.
And then there's one more scene with Arya where she's by a campfire again, and I swear to God, for a second I thought Ed Sheeran was going to show up.
Oh God, yeah.
So since we talked about that last week, I think the backlash has been outrageous online about that cameo, because people are... I totally agree the scene was badly written, and though I did read up on it afterwards.
I disagree. I don't think it was badly written.
But apparently apparently it was a scene with the singer, and then they cast him. They didn't write the scene for him.
Right.
But people are just so mean online.
Sorry, the scene wasn't the problem. It was the fact that Ed Sheeran's face was in Game of Thrones.
I think the whole thing was a problem, but I think it's really unfair of people to be slagging off Ed Sheeran, because anyone in the world, if they were asked to do a cameo in Game of Thrones, would do it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And there's been loads of musicians in it before,
which I
subsequently read. I did not know.
It's not Ed Sheeran's fault. It's not.
It was just a badly done scene.
He was asked to be in Game of Thrones. Of course he's going to do it.
Yeah. Do you feel mean now? Bad for being mean last week?
No, I wasn't mean about Ed Sheeran. Okay. I said I was absolutely... I'm sorry, go back and listen to the episode, Cathy.
I can't be bothered.
I said it was an absolute mistake to have him in it. Yeah. And I think it was the bad choice. And I think the producers or writers, whoever decided that, it's their fault.
But anyway, he doesn't show up on the scene.
Because he absolutely took us out of it.
Yeah, it was weird.
It's not his fault. But he doesn't deserve the backlash. But the backlash to that scene is justified. But apparently...
Yeah, but people need to get over it.
Maisie Williams, who plays Arya, is an enormous Game of Thrones... She's an enormous Ed Sheeran fan, so there was a little bit of wish fulfillment there, I think.
I just think it's all a bit nice, albeit I agree with
No, I'm sorry. No. All their musical cameos previous to that had been background. The dude from Snow Patrol, the dude from the drummer from Coldplay, Sigur Rós are playing at Joffrey's wedding. Little cameos that you don't notice and don't take you out of the show. This scene started with Ed Sheeran's face full screen, and his face is too famous to be in the show.
Okay, Dave.
That
I did not mean to start this tangent again. So anyway, she's back at a campfire, but it's not Ed Sheeran who shows up. It's a load of wolves.
Yeah, this is quite tense. And then we find out that it's Nymeria. She said it, yeah, Nymeria. Who I didn't remember. I had to Google this on the walk over.
So was it her wolf, or was it one of her siblings?
It was her wolf.
How did she lose it?
In season 1, when they're on the road to King's Landing with the Lannisters, and Joffrey's being a little dick, and Arya sort of stands up to him. I don't remember, I think he hits her or lashes out, and the wolf attacks him and bites him.
He hits Arya or the wolf?
The wolf defends Arya.
Okay.
And bites Joffrey's arm. And then there's a fear that the wolf's going to get put down. So Arya releases her into the wild.
Okay.
So we haven't seen her since then.
Well, the wolf's doing very well for herself. She seems to be.
She's got a little wolf pack.
But then, what was the last line where Arya said, "That's not you"? Because Arya says, "I'm going home. I'm going to Winterfell," and Nymeria is like, "Whatever, bye," and just leaves.
Yeah, I was a little confused by this. I think maybe it's because Arya is so unrecognizable, both from the little girl she was and from the character she was. So maybe Nymeria sort of recognized her, but turned her back on her because she's changed so much. I mean, I don't know what the wolf was thinking.
Okay, so that was just a weird line of Arya's. I thought it was very strange. And then we end on a magnificently unexpected scene set on the water.
Yeah,
this
was
awesome.
Amazing.
So we were wondering what the gift that this mad uncle was going to give Cersei was, and I think we found out now.
Well, firstly, the scene started with the 3 daughters of the Viper.
I hate them.
Who are so annoying, sisters. And it was a terrible reminder of all the Dorne stuff from last year. And
it was almost like they wanted to show us just how annoying they were so that we could relish in their deaths, which I did. I was so happy when they died.
Well, only 2 of them died, I think.
Oh, did they? But firstly, we need to discuss odd scene with the Queen of Dorne and the Queen of the Iron Islands flirting, and then
Yeah.
the Queen of Dorne, they're kind of slagging off Theon again because he's a loser, and then the Queen of Dorne says there's a foreign invasion underway
Yeah, it was like
regarding her courting of the sister.
opening her legs. It
Yeah.
was like a really bad porno, this whole...
It was
this
weird.
whole
'Cause she said,
section.
"You have a man in every port," and then the Iron Throne lady
maybe
says,
it's
"Oh,
a
there's a
woman."
woman," and I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, it
And
was
Theon,
kind of- it was
meanwhile,
embarrassing.
just standing there watching his sister get off with someone,
Yeah.
completely mute as usual, fetching them wine.
Theon's just like, yeah, I don't mind.
Theon's like, whatever.
She's like, he's not a servant. He's
And
like,
then just as they were
Does
getting
anyone
down
want
and
anything?
dirty, Euron attacks, which was awesome, and it was really cool
Yeah, it
and
was very
unexpected.
cool.
And this is the stuff Game of Thrones does
his
really well.
ship was like really intimidating in the way it was designed. Did you think it had like two giant sails to the side and one on top?
It was like kick ass, and he
He
just
is
brutally
so much
kills
fun in
Adorn's
this.
sister instantly, which I was really into.
And
The
but
most annoying one as well.
I love his sort of battle face. He's kind of like, la, la, la.
He's mad, but he's
like-
come out now.
he's
That
absolutely mental.
actor says that his character makes like Ramsay Bolton look like, I don't know. He slags off Ramsay Bolton, basically saying he's way more badass than him. I saw that in Thromecast.
Oh, I don't know about that.
So that's quite
Well,
fun.
first of all, that's a bit unfair to do.
Well,
But also, I don't think he's
He
got
won't-
a long way to go to
he doesn't
get
have a
to
long
that.
enough arc to be as evil as Ramsay. You need to
No.
know someone a couple of seasons.
And if anything, he feels a little bit over the top. He's enjoyable, but Ramsay was just cold and absolutely
guy's just
evil.
mad.
This guy's just like. a
Like,
bit
I love
over
when
the
he
top.
said he grabs the niece and the battle's raging on. The battle looked really cool. Like the ships are all on fire. Like we see from the Queen of the Iron Islands perspective, just all of the ships burning, and she's like, "Oh my god, we're completely screwed." And then
Yeah.
they
Which they are.
start
It
fighting.
seems like their entire fleet's been destroyed.
And they're the ones that were supposed to be invading King's Landing. So it's actually really good because actually earlier on when they were discussing their battle plan with Tyrion and everything, I just thought, oh, they've got this all sewn up. Like this is
Yeah.
all. So it's good to
They
see
fell at
some
the
fight
first
back.
hurdle.
And then he says, "Give your uncle a kiss," and grabs her. And then Theon, so then he's got a knife to her throat. After they fought really well, she's kick ass. I loved
Yeah.
her. And then he's got a knife to her throat, and he calls out to Theon, "Come and rescue your sister, you cockless coward." And Theon, what does Theon
Yeah.
do then?
He
jumps in the water.
Oh, bless him though. I mean, he's been through a lot, and he's gonna had a bit of
Didn't
PTSD
even try
here.
though. Yeah, he had flashbacks. Like I felt bad for him.
But you could see he wasn't really happy with this decision either. Like, I mean, it's like
He's just
he
going
went
to be
back-
so miserable. Like,
he went
where's he
back
going to
to
go
Reek.
now? He's just flying.
went back into reek mode.
He just floating in the water watching this carnage.
Yeah,
And that was the end of the
It was
episode.
pretty still shot at the end. It was cool.
It was really cool.
Yeah, so I thought it was a great episode.
Yeah, me too.
Loads happened. It propelled the plot forward a lot. We can see, John's going south to meet Daenerys.
So do you think Jon and
Daenerys'
Arya would just
plan
like
is
pass each
already
other?
in action.
Do
It's
you think-
failing.
Will they just ride past each other in
Yeah.
the woods?
Oh god, yeah, of course. Like it's classic, like Stark in Game of Thrones. They miss each other by fractions of.
Yeah,
a
but I
second.
think to be fair to Arya, like Sansa would be more. She doesn't know Sansa's there, and I think for her to finally see her sister after all those years
Yeah,
would
maybe
be more
it'll-
meaningful.
Maybe it'll finally bring her back from the brink of being a
Yeah.
cold murderess.
I think it would be really interesting when her and Sansa meet, and I hope it's nice, because they're sisters and they were like best friends, So that would be probably more meaningful than her meeting Jon.
And should we have a quick follow up on the 1-1 saga of last week?
So I reckon the
So
zombie
you lost the
giant
poll.
was
So
1-1.
most people agree with me. That
People
that
in our
was
Twitter
not
poll.
1-1.
You don't mean everyone in the world?
Uh,
The 60 or
yeah.
so people who did
No,
our
I
Twitter
polled
poll.
everyone in the world on our Twitter poll. But we have had some interesting theories. Somebody tweeted us to suggest that this was a vision of brands
Yes.
and of the future. And actually, I was listening to another podcast on Game of Thrones, and they suggested the same thing, because they suggested that there's green on the ground there, and it sort of changes to ice as they go. So it was a suggestion that this is a flash forward, that probably is around the Winterfell area. This is after the White Walkers have hit the south. So in that case, it could be 1-1.
Though I wasn't thinking of any of that. I was just thinking it looked like 1-1. And then someone tweeted me that
Well, it was
actually it's
the
the same
actor.
actor.
Yeah.
So actually I was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So look, I will admit there is a possibility that it is 1-1 if it is a flash forward, but it just seems a bit. It all
It's
seems
like,
a
wait,
bit-
can they only cast one actor to play all those giants? And then, so what do you think is going to happen now then? Because I'm really glad that scene just happened, because it just seemed too sewn up in terms of in favour of Daenerys, and it wasn't that interesting. Because they had said, like, you could storm
Wait,
King's
what
Landing
scene?
now. Like, basically, I thought the whole plot was too sewn up, because people are saying to her, you can storm King's Landing right now, and Tyrion's told her not to do it because she wants to win hearts and minds. Now, because she's taken Tyrion's advice and tried to go around the back door with these other armies, they're screwed. So I think Daenerys is now going to turn a bit evil and start... Her and Cersei are going to start becoming more alike.
I think Daenerys will team up with Jon and then get the North on her side.
Yeah, but Jon doesn't care about Cersei. Jon wants to just fight White Walkers, and Daenerys doesn't care about that.
Yeah, but she'll only do that if she helps him deal with Cersei first. I think that's how it's going to go.
Yeah, but do you think she's going to change her tactics now because Tyrion's haven't worked and she's lost all these people?
Yeah, maybe.
And it looks
got
like
some tough decisions.
Looks like the wedding gift from that evil uncle is going to be the Queen of Dorne, because it looked like he took her alive.
Yes, and what's her name? Theon's sister.
Oh, Theon's sister.
She's
I
alive
thought she
as
was
well.
killed.
No, she's alive. He kept her alive.
Ah, okay.
As far as I know.
So that's interesting.
Good episode.
Yeah, sorry about the train noises. I'm sorry to anyone we spoiled Game of Thrones for.
Yes.
There's no one around us, though. We're not that cruel. It's a very quiet train.
Alison, I hope that's enough for you to talk to your daughter about.
Yes.
The big things, if you want to sort of impress her, say, what did you think of that big battle on the ships at the end? And Jorah's horrible greyscale being taken off his skin. That'd be a nice dinner conversation there.
Yeah, really nice dinner conversation. Do you think Jorah's cure will work? I'm guessing yes, because they clearly want to keep him in the show.
Yeah. I think so. Ugh,
and is Sam still cleaning all those toilets, or is he fully elevated to a librarian now?
Yeah, no, you still got to clean toilets in between putting books on shelves and curing people with experimental methods.
All right.
Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Let us know what you thought of all of these things. What was your favourite scene? I'm just trying to pull a question out of my arse there.
What was your favourite
scene?
It was
the best I came up with.
Anyway.
Tweet us at The Cinemile, or email us like Alison did. We're at the cinema. The Cinemile. What's the name of it? The Cinemile at gmail.com.
Oh, and one thing we forgot that we had set up like a year ago, we actually have an Instagram account, which is the Cinemile on Instagram.
Yes.
Which we had completely forgotten we had. And
that's
people
where
were tagging us.
That's where we're going to put pictures. Well, it's because we had Scroobius Pip on a few weeks ago and he tagged us. Right, that's it. Better get to work. And don't forget to stay tuned to listen to me chatting to the channel editor of Sky Atlantic, which should be quite fun. Yes, I'm jealous. I'm not going to be there.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Sorry, I do these things without you.
Bye.
Hello, Cathy here. I'm back, as promised, with the channel editor for Sky Atlantic, Jamie Morris. Hello, Jamie.
Hi, Cathy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for coming on.
No, congratulations on all the feedback the podcast has received. It's amazing.
Thank you, but I hear from you you've never listened to a podcast.
That's true, but I'm sure we can rectify that once this goes out. I'm more of a visual man.
Yeah, you'll have to listen to this one now.
But I'm willing to also reappraise my bad habits.
Yes, no, you should. Given that you've got a very long commute, you should listen to podcasts. Okay, so tell us what channel editor means and what you do on Atlantic.
Basically, I run Sky Atlantic in terms of all day-to-day. So basically, that's handling the relationship with HBO and Showtime, who give us a lot of our content, but also working with our drama commissioning team on all the stuff we commission, all the exciting projects like Riviera and the upcoming Tin Star. Okay,
cool. And with Game of Thrones being as big as it is, and you having that relationship with HBO, how important is Game of Thrones to the channel?
How long is a piece of string? I mean, it's a record breaker for Sky, so it kind of transcends Sky Atlantic and, even Sky. It's just a massive behemoth of a TV show, which we're absolutely proud to have on Sky Atlantic. It's just absolutely, a gift.
I know, it's pretty much the gift that keeps on giving.
Saying that, it is massive. So, and like all TV channels, we like to have lots of people watching us, and Game of Thrones does help in that regard.
So it's the biggest season ever, which happens every season, right?
Pretty much every single season. I mean, our research on Sky Atlantic showed us a graph, and pretty much every single launch has grown, every single season has grown. It is just, and episode 1, is the biggest ever Game of Thrones episode yet on the channel. And I think that's the same for HBO in the US, and probably the same for a lot of other broadcasters around the world.
So how many people watched episode 1 of this?
We'll get the full 7-day number tomorrow, which is what we count in broadcasting. But I think 2 a.m. broadcast, the live broadcast of episode 1 was watched by over 100,000 people, which is a record for a live simulcast. That's 2 a.m., 100,000 people watching at 2 a.m. in the UK.
And I thought I was really good to get up at 6 a.m. to watch it. But that's outrageous.
Yep, you're well behind. You're at least about 300,000 people behind in the UK, I'm sure, by that point. Another, I think, 2.8 million people watched it within 24 hours.
Wow.
And I think the 7-day number will be well north of 4 million. So just amazing.
Okay, so
and that'll be the first time Game of Thrones has ever hit 4 million. Just huge for us.
Okay,
and
so
it keeps on growing, so who knows where it's going to end.
Enormous. And why do you think it's so popular?
Good question. I mean, I could talk about it all day. I mean, some of it is slightly puzzling to me. I mean, when you look at the first 3 seasons, some of the episodes were kind of like building up big storylines, which we're now enjoying now. So you kind of think, God, a lot of people had patience early on.
They really did. I wasn't one of them. I dropped out for a few seasons and came back again.
So it's really, I mean, I guess it's classic storytelling. I mean, Sky Atlantic, we kind of always say to ourselves, we want to be the home of world-class storytelling, and this is, literally that in a TV show. Classic good versus evil, but with a massive twist every single season, sometimes every single episode, where sometimes, we're always trained with fiction that the good must prevail and the evil, bad things must happen. And I imagine that's where Game of Thrones will end up, but there's been so many twists along the way.
I mean, it's been so good. The pilot, when Ned Stark was killed, spoiler for episode 1.
Series 1.
That was so good, because that was like, oh, right, so they killed the goodies then. Wait, finale of season 1.
Yeah, the finale of series 1 or the penultimate episode, I can't remember. But, yeah, it's a show where anyone can go at any moment. I think now we're, 62 episodes in? We kind of have an idea that there's a finite amount of people left, and some of them will probably make it to the end.
There's very few of them left now. There are very few core characters left.
Well, there's the Lannisters, and there's Jon Snow, and there's Sansa. But the Starks and Lannisters are pretty much those who've seen it right through, and Daenerys. But not many.
Yeah, that's it.
So there's only so many they can still kill off, I suppose.
And do you think the sex and violence helps as well?
Well, I think it's a show that I guess wasn't afraid to show people, what it wanted to show them, and I think people really responded to that.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of a cable show, right?
Exactly. I think HBO, previously to Game of Thrones, built up that reputation. With Sex and the City, I think was pretty much no holds barred in terms of some of that show's
Except
themes.
for Sarah Jessica Parker, she always wore her bra.
I mean, actresses will and actors will always, perhaps have limits for themselves, but certainly as a broadcaster, HBO set the template for what's acceptable in a cable universe and in a premium TV universe, and The Sopranos, etc. I can still remember certain episodes that shocked me.
Yeah, it was shocking, wasn't it?
At the time, which now seem tame, I guess, but that's evolution.
And speaking of characters, who's your favourite in Game of Thrones? Or do you have one?
I do. It's probably one which is shared by many, the Hound, probably.
Right, okay, yeah. That's cool. I missed a few seasons, which is really bad, but
Have you caught up now?
No, I watched season 1, and then I watched 5, 6.
But so you've missed out 2, 3, 4.
But I watch all those Atlantic story so far things.
Absolutely, that's what they're there
and
for.
I watch Thronecast, so I catch up. But
you're up to date?
Yeah, I'm up to date. I just couldn't be arsed going back and watching 30 episodes. Maybe when I'm on maternity leave.
You've got a lot of time.
Back,
but there's also probably a lot of other stuff on your list.
Yeah, they're potentially looking after a child, but that can come second to binging. But I think the Hound, so you were happy to see him last week then, back for episode 1.
Yeah, for me, he's kind of like one of the big classical characters in the fact that he seems on a path of redemption, pretty much dislikable to begin with, but thanks to his relationship with Arya, kind of like he became, lovable despite all of his past acts.
And what did you think of, because I know you've seen today's episode, when Arya was eating that pie and it was really disgusting and gross? Was that her emulating his eating style? That's what my husband seemed to think.
You'd like to think so. You'd like to think she learnt something from him other than just killing people and brilliant swordplay. She's also learnt some eating habits.
Yeah, some terrible table manners.
Probably
I do like the
some of her bad language is down to her time with the Hound as well.
So are you gunning for a Hound and Arya reunion more than an Arya and Sansa reunion?
I think that would be a lot better. Okay, and I think that's where I think the writers probably share my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what they'll do is probably tease the Hound reunion. She'll first be reunited with Sansa. That'll be that. And then maybe in the last minute of this season, that will be the big moment. It probably won't, but I'd like that reunion. That reunion is going to happen, and I think he's also going to face his brother at some point.
Oh, I forgot about his brother. Oh, yeah, that would be interesting.
That's teed up as well, and I think he's going to win. I think, he'll probably won't be on the throne at the end, but I think he'll be walking around some kind of deserted landscape on his own.
He will.
At the end. I think he's going to be one of the survivors. I hope he's going to be one of the survivors.
So who will win then? Who's going to be on the throne?
Well, I know that Cersei won't, because she is basically the villain of the piece left.
But she's on the throne now, so...
She is on the throne now, but that means that she's not going to remain on the throne.
Exactly.
And I think even though Game of Thrones, sometimes turns heroes and villains on their heads, I just don't think it'll end with her winning.
No,
that I think is categorical. I think what we'll find out is Tyrion, Jon Snow, and Daenerys are all related. My theory is that Tyrion is also related.
Interesting.
Because we don't know that Charles Dance is definitely his father.
Yeah, because it could have been someone else.
Yeah.
Interesting. I never thought of that.
So I think they're all Targaryens, and I think they're all related.
Oh, because there's 3 dragons, right? So
there's 3 dragons, and I think it's Tyrion, Jon Snow, and Daenerys. I think that they'll all basically... But only one will survive, and it's probably going to be... Daenerys is now expected to rule, so it probably won't be her.
Yeah, and Jon is a bit
Jon's
boring.
already died, and he is slightly... Well, he's just very, very good.
Yeah, maybe Sansa.
No, I think it'll be Tyrion. I think in Series 1, I think Varys kind of predicted that he will be a great ruler and leader, certainly leader, and I think it will be Tyrion who sits on the Iron Throne come the end.
Okay, that would be amazing.
And I think maybe what we'll see between now and then is Daenerys for a time.
Yeah.
She will get her time, but I also think that because we're all kind of expecting that conclusion, that she will lead the 7 Kingdoms, that's not going to be the conclusion.
And there's another season to go, right? So
there's another season to go.
Yeah, if this was the last season,
Jon Snow's already died, so he'll probably... His battle is not ruling anyway, it's defeating the White Walkers and the Undead, so I think he'll win that battle, but probably at some point go valiantly.
I like your Tyrion theory, because also we were chatting earlier and we realised he's probably still married to Sansa, technically. So she could rule at his side.
She could, and that is also a love story that can be rekindled.
Yeah,
they would,
beautiful. She was his child
even
bride.
though they weren't in love in the first place, he was a gentleman, as far as certainly
compared to her next
husband.
Is it hard?
Yeah, Ramsay Bolton wasn't a gentleman. I think Tyrion is.
Yeah,
so
that would be good. Okay, I like that theory.
And I think he's also, for me, probably, the best. Apart from the Hound, the best character. The best character out of all the principals.
Yeah, they do.
That.
I reckon for me they've gotten a little bit dull, the main characters now, because they've had to get through so much. So yeah, I like that theory. Okay, great.
He's also the smartest person on the show. He
is the smartest person. Though, you've seen today's episode? I really enjoyed when Lady Olenna said, "Yeah, he's a smart man, but I don't listen to smart men." So that was really good. She said, "You go be a dragon." Well, and he was wrong, because his plan has just been thwarted now. The end of episode 2. It
has been thwarted.
Yeah.
But, he'll come back.
And I think that was all. Oh, so I was going to ask you, because obviously we're a cinema podcast and we are diverging for Game of Thrones. What is your favourite movie you've seen this year at the cinema?
Got so many films to choose from. As I was mentioning to you before we started, I haven't seen Wonder Woman yet.
Oh,
which
that's
I know
really good.
is probably the best that a lot of people will for, and Dunkirk is on my list for this week,
yes,
so
me
I haven't
too.
seen that. But taking out Wonder Woman and Dunkirk, I'd say the best I've actually physically watched is Split, the M. Night Shyamalan film with James McAvoy.
I haven't seen that one.
Why
Say
not?
that name again, M. Night
Shyamalan. I don't know.
So it's good then. I heard mixed reviews.
It is good. Were you an Unbreakable fan?
Remind me what it... Oh, no, I didn't like Unbreakable.
Really?
No.
Samuel L. Jackson, Bruce Willis?
But I haven't seen it in a long time.
Well, so I was a huge Sixth Sense fan back in the day and was incredibly excited when he made Unbreakable.
What about Signs?
Signs was my least favourite of that kind of his golden age film. I really liked The Village. I loved Unbreakable.
I loved The Village.
I'm a sucker for a twist, so I had no problem with the fact that you could see them a mile off, because I didn't.
I didn't see the twist in The Village at all. I was genuinely shocked. What about the one last year about the teenagers visiting their grandparents?
Loved that.
Yeah,
The Village.
Was really good.
I thought that was very funny.
Yeah.
And that, I think, was his return to form as a director. So that kind of gave me hope for Split. James McAvoy's brilliant. you know what? It is made on a budget, so you have to be conscious of that.
He's playing 27 characters, right? So they got it cheap.
At least 27,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I need to watch that then.
But I've never been a massive James McAvoy fan for whatever reason, but this really changed my perception of him.
Okay.
But he's great in it.
Oh, and one more question before we go.
No,
what is the next week's show coming on Sky Atlantic? Acquisition or commission?
So I won't keep it to one. I'll go.
Okay.
further.
Oh, okay. My favourite Insecure is coming back next month.
Since most people have probably tuned out by now,
Yes.
I will do a Sky Atlantic plug. Probably the biggest one that we're making is Tin Star, so that is Tim Roth and Christina Hendricks. It comes out in September. We're going to release all 10 episodes at once because we've made the show so we don't have to worry about waiting for the USTX, etc. So Sky viewers will be able to see it first. It is brilliant. It's a revenge thriller. Tim Roth is amazing in it. Basically, he plays a UK sheriff who's moved to a kind of tiny town called Little Big Rock in America, and basically something happens to his family, and it becomes a massive revenge thriller.
Okay, I love it.
It is amazing.
That sounds
and
good.
the storyline, it's written by a guy called Rowan Joff, who made 28 Days Later.
Oh wow, okay.
And yeah, he's his vision is so clear. So that's the big one.
That sounds amazing.
We saw the Westworld trailer over the weekend at
Yes.
Comic-Con, so looking very much forward to that Series 2, but that will come when it comes from HBO.
Yeah.
I'm also very much looking forward to HBO's new show, The Deuce,
which
is, we've just talked about James Franco. Didn't think we'd be talking about James Franco so
Yes.
much, but he plays twins in HBO's new drama. It's written by David Simon, who made The Wire.
Oh wow, okay.
And The Corner. And Treme, and it's his new piece, and it's set in 70s New York, and I won't say any more, but go online and check it out.
I do love
in
David
terms
Simon.
of trails, etc.
Okay, brilliant. And Insecure is back next month.
Insecure is back next
Yes.
month, and Ballers, if you
And
like
Ballers.
Ballers too. I
Okay.
can just keep plugging as well.
No,
if
you
want
can't.
to.
I'll just leave it at that. All right, okay. Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks, Cathy.